Hey Karoo, here is the time lapse of my drive to the backpacking trip that we took the first weekend in April that I promised you long ago. My friend Dave Bubser cursed me with an app called Relive, which you're seeing in the lower left-hand corner there, and since I got this fly-through of the route driving up there, I figured I had to do the time lapse with it, and I know how you love time lapses, so here we are. Actually, we're almost to a point where we were going to slow down and you're going to get to see the cattle drive that I ran into. And then after that, there's going to be another minute or so of us, or me, driving down the dirt road. So yeah, here's the cattle drive. And it was interesting. I said hi to the cowboys as they went by, and they studiously didn't make eye contact or acknowledge my existence. So I figure they're tougher than me. I'm not gonna fight it. So yeah, I drove out. Obviously, I left at like 6 a.m. and drove up there and got there fairly early, and then hiked in. And as you'll see, once I got in, and I cut in I didn't take a lot of video in some areas here, so I cut in some stills. This is now now you don't have to watch any more time lapse. Lucky you. So you're just going to see some pictures here. This is of the hike in. And what I did was I hiked in, I set up camp, and then I hiked back out and met Pat at the trailhead, and then hiked in a second time. And it's not that bad. It's pretty flat, and it's only about 5 miles each way, so it wasn't that big a deal. And it was a beautiful, warm day. The weather actually couldn't have been better on the whole trip. But as I got in, the first thing I ran into when I hit the Snake River was this. Yeah, a helicopter. Nothing better than taking a 5-mile hike to watch a helicopter land. So these pictures are actually as I'm coming in the second time, and it's about to get dark here, and then we're going to hit the hay. So the first evening we just everyone it was a bit of a party. It was pretty rowdy actually, and so I don't think I got footage of that, but this was right after Pat and I came into camp, and everyone's getting ready to sit down and eat. And then we had a nice evening cooking meals, and I can't remember, some of these pictures might be from breakfast the next day, but it's just, give you a feeling of camp. So there were about 15 people there, a nice range of ages from late 20s to 70s, actually. And conversations were good, a lot of nice people, and a pleasant time with the fire and sitting around and having fun. And we managed to avoid any fights or political arguments, which is always a bonus. I did get a couple good pictures of the stars, which was kind of fun. So this first night was, got to bed fairly early, around 10 o'clock, and then it actually rained a little bit early in the morning, and so we got some footage of that here in my tent. Not all that exciting. And of course it always sounds like it's raining more than it really is when you're in a tent. Actually, I had a new sleeping bag that worked out really, really well. It was nice and toasty warm in it. My old sleeping bag I left in the camper van, which is being fixed. So I didn't really have much of a choice. So yeah, I drug myself out of bed, got up and had breakfast, and then kind of walked around in the camp area taking some pictures. So here you can see kind of the tent and the camp, and obviously it cleared up really pretty quickly. And that there was an endless parade of jet boats. It's actually really frustrating. You get out here, it feels like when you're driving out, you're in the middle of nowhere. Oh yeah, and then there were these otters that were mating in the river. Got several pictures of them, which you can't really see, but you get the idea. I don't want to get banned from YouTube for otter porn. So I edited out the worst of the pictures, although that one's pretty graphic right there. Yeah, and then once I got around taking pictures, folks pointed out that there were a couple bighorn sheep on the hill right above our camp, and this isn't a great shot, but it just does show you how close they were to the camp. And so I'm not going to talk over this, but there's just a bunch of footage here of sheep. So I watched the sheep for a while, and then we went for a hike. So I'll come back and talk more when we get to the hike. The sheep were a big part of this trip, actually. We saw a lot of them, and you'll see later there were more. So our day hike was about 7 miles. There were 3 of us who hiked up here, and it's the elevation heading up there is it's a pretty good elevation gain. It's a hefty hike. You feel it. So it's 7 miles round trip. And when we got up on top, we ran into a herd of deer, small herd of deer, and the dog that was with us ran off and chased the deer, which was kind of entertaining. And then it's amazing how quickly the deer just race up to the top of the ridge. I would probably kill myself if I tried to run like that, but these guys had no problem getting all the way up. And they wore the dog out. That's for sure. There they are up on top of the ridge. And it's hard to, the video doesn't do justice to how far they ran to get up there. Pretty impressive stuff. On the way back down, we saw some other wildlife, which, I had to take a picture of. This is back all the way back down to the Snake River, so we're almost all the way back to camp by now. And then another evening in camp. John Didoli had caught some fish, and Carl cooked them up over the campfire, which was kind of fun. I didn't actually take any video of that. Oh, and there were more bighorn sheep. These were down by the mouth of the Imnaha, so this is actually quite a good ways away from us. But I've got some footage here of them running up the just climbing around, and it's always just amazing to see how I was talking about the deer and how far they move, and the sheep just kind of wander around on this rock face as if it's nothing. As if they're wandering through a pasture. It's pretty amazing. Actually, you can kind of see in this footage the smoke, the heat from the fire, making it kind of wobble. Yeah, so I'm sorry it took me so long to cut this together. I know it's been more than 2 weeks, but I had other stuff going on, and it's also pretty long. And to paraphrase Mark Twain, if I had more time, it would have been shorter. But as it is, I just figured it was better to throw it together and post it for you if you wanted to see it. So yeah, another evening around the campfire, a little less exciting than the night before. And actually, most of these folks had come in the day before, so they'd already had a night before I got there. Yeah, you can see in the low light. Camera does okay. It was actually quite dark by now, so I was pretty pleased that this came out. And I got one more picture of the stars here.
Keep looking down at the letters. I'm like, okay, what letters are available to me?
I've already kind of forgotten.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever I told you and what I thought it was, I don't know anymore. I'm trying to.
So this is a time lapse of the sun coming up the next morning, which was really nice. So we just kind of got up, ate breakfast, broke camp, and headed out, and then drove out to Enterprise, where we went to this this pub called Terminal Gravity. And not a pub. What do they call it? It's a brewery. And yeah, so I saw some mule deer on the way out, and then I did you the service of not running this dash cam footage at high speed, just because I care about you. More cows on the road on the way out. So that's pretty much my story. I'm sticking to it. Sorry, it's kind of a boring video. But there we are looking at the Wallowas, and then this is coming over toll gate and the snow on the way home, and then looking out on the wheat fields coming down into Athena.